Don't let the algorithm win. What happens if you take a 7-day break from social media, podcasts, doom scrolling, and even music? Well, that's what this video is about. For me, a digital detox came with a simple truth. I was plugged in way too much. And I knew I had a problem the morning. I caught myself wondering if I could bring my phone into the shower to finish a podcast. My brain was absolutely fried from constant input. And perhaps you felt this way as well. And the biggest realization I had was I wasn't really living my life. So I decided to do a 7-day digital detox, and this is what happened. So the rules were simple. I didn't have any fancy apps. I didn't scrutinize my screen time. All I did was I decided not to plug in my AirPods and not to scroll social media. That was it. So day one, I woke up and I didn't plug in. It happened to be raining. And the first thing I noticed was that I could hear sound in such high fidelity, and it was almost beautiful. The rain sounded like music. And even when I went downstairs to make a coffee, every sound felt high fidelity. The kettle boiling, pouring a cup of coffee. So I wasn't expecting that. And the first morning was actually much easier than I expected. I sat there drinking a cup of coffee, listening to nothing, and for once, I felt fine, not plugged in. But I knew I had a habit, so I had a simple strategy for logging the amount of times that I felt like I needed to plug into something. And it was just to open up an UpNotes app and record it every single time. So I did that, and I saw a pattern. When I sat down in front of the computer, that was when I felt the urge. When I was about to cycle my bike, that's when I felt the urge, and so on and so forth. Anyways, those were the positives on the first day. What surprised me the most was when I went to work, I thought I would be laser focused. I thought, right, no distractions. I'll be an absolute machine. And the opposite happens. I found it hard to get into a flow state, and that caught me off guard. But I made it through the day, and as it turns out, I made it through the week and was just as productive. Okay, so day 2. It was by far the hardest. I had what I could only describe was a dopamine crash. I just felt absolutely horrible and unmotivated to do anything. The urge to scroll and plug back in was the strongest on this day. And this is the point where I had to repeat a mantra to myself: Bork, live your life. By far, this was the hardest day. And more recently, after the detox, I discovered a book called Dopamine Nation, Finding a Balance in the Age of Indulgence, written by an Olympic. And I found it interesting because the big theme of her book is sometimes framed as the plenty paradox. So in a world where there's more convenience, comfort, and entertainment than ever, many people are becoming anxious and more depressed, and are less able to enjoy a life. And my understanding of this is that with all of the constant sort of entertainment that I was subjecting myself, I was up here. And suddenly when I removed that, I was left with what I think she describes as a dopamine deficit state, where I completely removed my any reward system, and so I was left feeling depressed. Anyway, back to the story. By day 3 and 4, things started to shift. I started getting more comfortable with the silence. I could go to shop, do bits around the house, move through the day, and not feel like I had to fill every second with noise. And the urge got weaker too. So I might put a chart in here. So as you can imagine, Monday, I logged a lot of urges. Tuesday, a lot of urges. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, less and less and less. But not only was I feeling the urge less, the feeling or the urge was much weaker. So like I said, as the week went on, it got a lot easier. But it was an unusual week for me because I was off Thursday and Friday. I had Portuguese cousins over, so I was busy, engaged, connecting, talking, and present. And because I wasn't actually involved in the usual routine, I didn't feel the need to plug in. And this showed me something very important. This is hardest in low engagement moments, the dull moments, the routine tasks. But when you're with people, when you're connected, when you're actually living, it gets a lot easier. And that was a big lesson. So from days 5 to 7, I noticed I was sleeping better too. More than that, I realized I could actually do this. So as I got towards the end of the week, I realized, wait a minute, I can do this. At the start, it felt like a battle. But the more often I said no, the weaker the habit became. And by the end of 7 days, I was thinking I could actually keep going. And this surprised me. I still haven't gone fully back to my old habits. And I'm still trying to figure out what deserves a place in my life and what doesn't in terms of podcasts. But one thing became very clear: protect the mornings. I found the mornings easiest. This is when I'm most productive. And that's what I found the easiest to do. What this week has shown me is that if you're constantly plugged in, I don't think you're living your life. But unplugging is only the first step. After that, I think the real work begins. Because if you want to design your life, you have to decide how you want to live it. You have to decide what your goals are, what your mornings look like, what matters to you, who you want to actually be. And you can't do that if you're permanently distracted. So practical advice. Should everyone do a 7-day digital detox? Maybe. It depends on the person. But I do think most people need a kind of boundary. And I would say this: don't do too much too soon. Keep the rules simple, make it specific, make it realistic. For me, it wasn't about throwing the phone in the drawer for a week or pretending the modern world didn't exist. I still use my phone when I needed to. If somebody sent me something, I looked at it. I watched a couple of films with the children. If somebody sent me a post, I read it. I just didn't allow myself to drift into scrolling or put myself into my own little private bubble all the time. That was the difference. So my new rules moving forward: protect the mornings. The mornings are the easiest and cleanest. And after that, I just have to figure out a way to more intentionally use my phone. Don't let the algorithm win. Choose life, choose connection, choose control. And I think that's really the point.